Right, what's happening, people? Welcome back to the Squawka Football channel. Now, I am very pleased to announce that once a month we will be dropping one episode off of this channel, as Squawka are an official partner of my channel, the Joey Knight podcast, which is only as good as it is because of the main ingredient, which is the big dog.
The best
Josh
guest
Aveste.
on the Joey Knight podcast is Joey Knight, though, isn't it?
I would say Joey Knight is the best guest on the Joey Knight podcast, but closely followed by Josh Aveste.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, not only on your channel, but on the Squawka Football channel. And we have got a wonderful topic to discuss today.
One of my favourite topics.
You like talking about transfers?
Listen, there's nothing I love more than the transfer window, yeah? When now and then I'm bumping into Jim White and he's doing the old TalkSport boxing stuff, I'm not thinking at all about the TalkSport boxing. I'm thinking about Jim White on deadline day, reading us out their headlines, people turning up in car parks of clubs that they haven't even been signed to, people making big money moves that may or may well not have ended up going down well. And in today's video, we are going to give our top 10 worst ever Premier League transfers. I'm excited for this one.
I'm very excited. I think Joey's actually a bit lost actually at the moment, because usually in January's what you do is you stand behind Sky Sports News reporters.
Yep.
And I don't know if
with
you remember
various different items in my hand.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember a particular item, but that was actually Joey's hand involved with that. So
we won't get into that.
Did you get it? Where did you get it from?
Yeah.
From your sock drawer.
When people say, how did you get into YouTube? Do you remember Deadline Day?
yeah. Deadline Day 2010. When was that? That was a long time ago.
I don't know, but they can't do it nowadays.
They can't
do it.
It's a shame.
The kids are too ruthless. I'll tell you who else was ruthless in his spending spree, and that was a man that we love dearly, as controversial as it may be.
We need to put our hands up now and admit, for anyone new watching us who don't know who we are Chelsea fans.
We're Chelsea fans. So the man we love dearly is a certain Russian called Roman Abramovich. And Roman Abramovich held nothing back when it came to the transfer market. If he saw a player and he wanted that player, he would go for that player, regardless of whether that player was under contract, regardless of whether that player was playing for a big club and banging goals in for fun already, and regardless of the price tag. And in around 2004 to 2005, I would say that it wouldn't be controversial to say that the leading number 9 in world football at that time was Andriy Shevchenko. Now, many people may argue that it was Thierry Henry, and I myself am a Thierry Henry man in terms of who I think was better out of the two of them. But there was an argument to be made, wasn't there? There
was. What a player he was. Scored a few goals in finals. Do you remember any of those?
As you do, Champions League finals. I think did he score in the final against Liverpool where Liverpool won?
I'm almost certain he did.
I think he did.
Yeah,
I think he did. I know Crespo did.
Yes,
he was on loan from us.
Yeah,
but
he was very good in FIFA 2005. Is what I remember.
He was a terrific little player.
Terrific.
But it was the next year that they won the final AC Milan, wasn't it? I believe. And he definitely scored. He scored a shed load of goals, and not only that. You know, sometimes when a player moves over to the Premier League, you're sort of looking at them and you're thinking, will they fit? I think from a physical standpoint and whatnot, you looked at Shevchenko and you thought, he comes to Chelsea. We were probably naively maybe thinking at the time, or at boardroom level, takes the reins from Didier Drogba. God,
that didn't go very well, did it?
How that went. And he ends up becoming our number 9 for the next sort of 5, 6, 7 seasons, something like that.
Yeah.
It didn't work out though, did it?
I'd looked this up, right? And he scored 9 goals in his time at Chelsea. So you might be thinking, maybe he only played in, 15, 20 games. He played in 48 games at Stamford Bridge for Chelsea. And he only managed 9 goals. A player that was right up there in terms of one of the best strikers in the world.
Tell you what, though, he scored an absolute screamer against Spurs. Do you remember it?
Yes, I do.
Scored a great goal against Tottenham. But I think this one needs to make the list because at 39.5 million in 2006, that is a hefty chunk, mate. Is that the equivalent nowadays to spending 100 mil on a player?
I think it's more than that. In terms of real terms inflation, what we always do is we always look at inflation in terms of football players, you and I. We're economists. We care very much about the sort of the money ball aspect of football. And we've worked this out before. I actually think it's near enough 200 million. That's mental, isn't it? In terms of the modern game. So there aren't really many other players that would go for that money.
Sort of fair return on that, would you say?
I would say not.
I'd say not.
I'd say that was probably the second worst transfer in Chelsea history.
God, imagine that. Chelsea spending big on a player from Serie A and then only a season or so later sending them back on loan to Serie A.
Yeah. Don't worry. Chelsea will make
we'd
this
never make that mistake again, would we?
Yeah. Do you know what I have to say, right? I think we've been quite humble with this list because we've put a few Chelsea players in there. I think we've been all right. We could have just put Man United players in there.
We could have just put Man United players from this season in there.
Speaking of, Mason Mount.
doesn't
make the list.
Doesn't make the list.
But could
Lucky boy.
Yeah. Donny van der Beek doesn't make the list.
Mate, there's hundreds.
How many others?
We'll be going for so long.
Veron didn't make the list.
Anana.
Bebe didn't make the list.
Bebe, do you remember
What
Bebe?
A player.
Oh.
I loved him.
The man so nice, they named him twice. Should go on to number 9.
Yeah, please do. Right, the next player, speaking of Man United, they do make an appearance in this list. We have to say, it's a modern variant of it, but it's Antony.
Now, can I just say, Antony, you are so lucky to be sat at number 9. And the reason you're sat at number 9 is because it's very hard to tell the story when the story isn't finished. And I don't want to have a rejuvenation of the career of Antony and all of a sudden look like a complete idiot on this channel. Don't mind doing it on my own one, but I'm not putting that on the Squawka channel. So that's why you're only coming in at number 9.
Yeah.
But if your career was to end now, I'd have you up there about number 2. And you know what makes it even worse about Antony? Why it makes it even worse?
Go on.
He had the Mykhailo Mudryk syndrome.
Why are you mentioning Mykhailo Mudryk here? That was just completely unnecessary. That hurt me.
He had the Mykhailo Mudryk syndrome, the Anthony Martial syndrome, He's
been taking steroids?
No, not that. No. I'm trying to think of some other players that have done it on the debut, but here's what I'm on about. Signs.
I know exactly what you're on about.
On the debut.
Unbelievable
looks
performance.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
Mudryk,
when
Liverpool.
I see Mudryk against Liverpool, Antony against Liverpool as well, wasn't it? That was against Liverpool. Was it against Arsenal? It was against Arsenal, I think it was.
There you go,
it was,
right.
But like either way, like they sign on the debut, unreal.
Yeah.
I'm like, they've signed a wizard. His fella's the bollocks, and he
did a few step overs.
Shit.
Yeah. Those flip flaps, like honestly, they're worth millions of pounds. Just those. Do you know what I mean? But he came in, mate, and he was bought for £78 million.
Yeah.
And do you know what? There are some other players in this list that were bought for more. But what I would say is that Ajax, who he came from, were quite open to selling him for a lot less. Do you know the amount of money that they were open to selling him for?
No.
They would have accepted a bid of £25 million.
Fuck off.
Deadly serious. The director of football spoke after this and said, they paid well above the odds. They didn't need to pay it. So that's why Antony has to make this list. By the way, 59 appearances so far for Man United, 5 goals, 5 assists.
That is more goal contributions than I'd expect. That's 1 in 6, isn't it?
Sorry, excuse me. It's 5 goals, 3 assists.
That's not.
So it's not. It is fucking. He's shit. He's shit. But going from one failed winger to another, why don't we talk about Nicolas Pepe?
Again, the man so nice they named him twice.
Yep.
Pepe. What was the price tag for Pepe?
So it was a club record fee in 2019 that he moved to Arsenal for. It was only later superseded by the Declan Rice deal, who came in for a lot more than that. But he came to Arsenal for £72 million.
Well, yeah, you say it was preceded by Declan Rice, but there was a crazy jump in inflation in that time. Pound for pound, that's about the same, if not more than what they spent on Rice, wasn't it?
Yeah, fair enough.
And what was because do you know what? I'm going to be completely honest, right? I knew Pepe was a good player, and I knew that there were high hopes for him. But what really were his credentials upon coming to Arsenal? Why did they spend that on him?
I think, to be honest with you, it was his goal contributions. Was it in Ligue 1 he was playing in at the time? Like he was a serious player. And remember, this was one of the first signings under Edu. Do Do you remember that guy that gets all of the praise for bringing in some unbelievable?
They loved him on the documentary.
Signing. Yeah, they did. They did. So this guy comes in and he says, "Do you know what? I'm going to really impart my mark here and buy a marquee signing." And let's be honest, this guy was meant to be a generational talent, and he ends up getting, after 3 years at the club, getting superseded by an academy product.
Yeah,
in Bukayo Saka.
Yeah.
So it wasn't good. And I tell you what, it ended.
How many seasons?
He ended up playing 3 seasons.
I was going to say Saka took over from Pepe before that, though.
There you go, but Saka as in completely superseded.
I think Saka had 1 season at left wing back when he was integrated into the team.
But what I'm saying is he was superseded
winger
completely by him, by his talent. Like he made Pepe look like a fucking League 2 player, didn't he?
So, again, I suppose that he's on the list, but that somewhat puts a silver lining on it, doesn't it?
What, that Saka came in and took his throne?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've wasted so much money with that deal. They had to agree a mutual termination in the end.
What I'm saying is, if Pepe hadn't have been so shit,
would Saka have got the chance
on
the right-hand side?
Because what if they had have wisely spent the money, got someone good, Saka never gets the chance, and he has to go somewhere else and become
sliding
a great
door
player.
moment.
There you go.
But
there you go.
Come on, it was still horrendous amount of money.
Now, one man in Bukayo Saka who, you know, worked his way up, got himself into the first team, and then eventually ended up, apparently, if you're an Arsenal fan, challenging for titles. Not much of a challenge, was it? No, I'm only joking. We like the Arsenal fans on Squawka. To another man who swapped relegation battles for title challenges.
Yeah.
It's obviously an integral part to the treble-winning Manchester City side.
Yeah.
Kalvin Phillips.
Did he get a medal?
Did he get a medal?
He should have. Just for the bants, really, more than anything.
No, I think he was on loan, wasn't he? Was he on loan at Ipswich?
He didn't even get a medal for the treble?
I don't think so.
God, Kalvin Phillips' career. The thing that I think we have to discuss with this one is, I feel like many coming up in this list, his career was effectively over after this transfer. So, like, after all of that credibility that you described that he built up at Leeds, being an integral part of that England team, seeming to be the sort of the heir apparent to that sort of like DM role, really, in England.
Yeah.
He goes to Man City and really should be coached by Pep Guardiola, should have improved. Pep does improve players, certain players. Maybe not Kalvin.
Can I give you a slightly controversial take, mate?
Go on.
Tournament signing.
He was a bit of a tournament signing.
And people
he did play very well for Leeds, though.
Yeah, he did play very well for Leeds. Would Manchester City have gone and signed James Ward-Prowse when Southampton went down?
James Ward-Prowse is actually quite... I actually really like
Would City have gone and signed him?
If he'd bagged in loads of free kicks in the England... for England,
but
maybe.
What I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. It's a tournament sign, yeah? Kalvin Phillips delivered on the biggest of stages in terms of the Euros, yeah? England got to the final. Kalvin Phillips was a mainstay in the midfield, partnered up with Declan Rice really well, had a terrific tournament, yeah? This is what I'm saying. Was he also an integral part of that Leeds side? Maybe one of, if not the most important player in that Leeds side that got promoted under Bielsa, that went on to finish high for a promoted team in the Premier League in their first season? Yeah, he was. He was that. But what I'm saying is, he's not better than Morgan Gibbs-White or someone like that. Do you know what I mean? Who's done the same sort of thing with Nottingham Forest, but hasn't had the opportunity to shine on the international stage. And what I'm saying is, if you're taking away the tournament, he hadn't really done much to warrant a move to Manchester City.
You've actually inspired a very good question that I think we should ask the audience. Let us know in the comments. Who would you rather have in your midfield in their prime? Would you rather have a prime Kalvin Phillips or a prime James Ward-Prowse?
I'm saying...
Who would you say?
For what team? City?
Let's just say for your team.
For my team?
Yeah.
Again, it's another controversial take. I've never really rated James Ward-Prowse all that much.
Really?
But his set-piece delivery is brilliant, so you'd take him. I'll tell you who would love James Ward-Prowse.
Who?
Arsenal.
Yeah. Think about it, Arsenal. Do you know what? In the January, he might be available.
Mate, if Arsenal could go get James Ward-Prowse, they probably should, because you think they're resigned to the fact now that they only really score from set pieces. I think that's fair to say, isn't
Stoke
it?
City FC,
I don't think in training they're still doing like traditional football training. They just practice set pieces, no?
Mikel Arteta, all he cares about is set pieces.
Yeah, so they pretty come in, do 4 hours. They do the first 2 hours on corners, second 2 hours on free kicks and whatnot, and they don't do anything else in training. So potentially, maybe they should go and get a Kalvin Phillips, a James Ward-Prowse.
The Arsenal fans are going to absolutely slay you because they're going to say that Saka has got a better delivery than James Ward-Prowse.
I don't think the stats would show that.
Should we go to the other side of London? Yeah. Should we go to the other side of North London and talk about Tanguy
Ndombele?
What a player he was. The resounding memory...
Ndombele, some would call him. He was that good.
The resounding memory I've got from this, I don't know if you remember this picture, we'll have to show it, is him training with Jose Mourinho in a park, in like a Sunday league park. And you saw him in that picture and you thought... I thought, do you know what? I've actually played with lads that look like they were a little bit more sort of like elite pros than this guy looks. This guy looked like he's been playing Sunday League for quite a long time. It wasn't good.
Yeah, he didn't light the world up. And Tottenham have had a few. Tottenham haven't got many on this list, but they've had a few, man. Like,
they've had a few.
Do you remember
Bentley?
Who, David Bentley?
Yeah.
Nah, I think that's a harsh.
A lot of Spurs fans really didn't rate that transfer.
I think that's harsh.
Who else?
David Bentley.
Who else would you have in there then?
Do you know what comes to mind straight away?
Go on.
Do you remember the spending spree when they sold Bale?
Yeah.
There was some hits. There were definitely some hits in terms of Christian Eriksen. But I remember that spending spree. They went and got
Kirikes,
Chadley, Eriksen, Soldado, who they thought was going to really lead the line as a number 9 and banging goals from, and he was pathetic, really, wasn't he? He was rubbish.
Maybe he should be on this list.
He could be. But what I'm saying is they spent a decent amount of money in that period. So for them to only have, I think, one player on this list.
Yeah.
But he weren't
it's not
good.
Bad.
He weren't good either way. What I will say is number 5 for me is I think one that most people would definitely agree with. And I can completely understand the signing at the time. Yeah. But this was at a time that Liverpool had sold Chelsea Fernando Torres.
Yeah.
Can we give him a spoiler alert?
Go on.
Fernando Torres does not make this list.
There's one key reason for that more than anything for me.
Barcelona.
Yeah.
He rounds the keeper. He gives Gary Neville and I don't know if I can say the word on this channel, but
Gary Neville was having a fantastic time.
He was having a great time.
He really was
having a great time.
He made Victor Valdez look like a Sunday League goalkeeper.
Mate, he made up for everything.
That was worth 50 million quid. That
worth
moment.
50 million. We went on to win the Champions League. Well worth it. And actually come off the bench in the final and played all right. So either way, he doesn't make it onto the list. But when they get rid of Fernando Torres, which was a shrewd bit of business on Liverpool's behalf, because they probably understood the injury record that Chelsea were taking on board a little bit more than we had looked into it and understood it, they needed to go out and they needed to sign a striker that was able to deliver for them, that was able to deliver the amount of goals that could push them onto Premier League titles, and they did it.
Yeah. Andy Carroll is the main man. Do you know where he's playing football now?
No, where?
He's playing football in France.
So I think... Wasn't he playing for Reading quite recently?
He was playing for Reading. He was playing very well for them. But now he's playing in the 4th tier of French football for Bordeaux, a fallen giant of French football.
A Bordeaux in the 4th tier?
Yeah, they've gone down because they got administration issues. They got relegated several times.
Yeah. I know that.
Bordeaux are a classic team, aren't they? Very good youth academy back in the day. Yeah, so he's now playing for them. He's got 7 goals in 8 appearances so far this season.
Yeah.
He's banging the goals
Pretty prolific.
He's found his level.
He has. And I'll tell you who could do with him in January if they're short.
Man United.
Arsenal.
He ended up, by the way...
sorry, Arsenal fans. I'm only bantering.
He ended up with 6 goals in 44 matches for Liverpool. That was a very bad transfer.
But do you know what makes it even worse? Do you know what makes it even worse?
Go on.
What picture springs to mind of his signing? Because in my mind, it's not a picture of just him and I think it was Dalglish who signed him.
Yeah. Was it?
It's the 3 of them.
Was it Luis Suarez who was
It's Luis Suarez.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Luis Suarez, look, I ain't going to say he was an unknown quantity, but not many people knew Suarez that well. Like,
No.
I think I just about knew who Suarez was, sort of thing. But I'm kind of thinking, like, yeah, it'd be interesting little sub to come on off the bench, Luis Suarez. But Andy Carroll, he's the man that's going to be banging him in for him. And little did they know, they did sign a man to not only replace Fernando Torres, I'm going to go as far to say to outdo what Torres did at Liverpool.
I'd love to know what Liverpool fans think of that.
But it wasn't the man in the picture we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So, again, another one with a silver lining.
It was. Should we talk about another striker in Romelu Lukaku? Let's just come clean with this, right? I didn't want to put this man in this list because I think we have to admit that it was such a catastrophic failure.
I was insistent. 2
spells at Chelsea. He said that it was his boyhood club. He returns to Chelsea for, how much money was it, Joey? 113 million euros.
Yeah.
Pocket change, really, for Chelsea. Let's be honest.
Kiss the badge.
Yeah, kiss the badge.
By the way, I'll just read you through. Lukaku played for Anderlecht, Chelsea, West Brom, Everton, Manchester United, Inter Milan, Chelsea again, Inter Milan again, Roma and Napoli.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to read you a quick list of clubs he's kissed the badge of. Anderlecht, Chelsea, West Brom, Everton, Man United, Inter Milan, Chelsea again, Inter Milan again, Roma and then Napoli.
He loves the clubs, mate. He's got a connection with every single one of them.
He's so loyal. He's so loyal. Not only does he join us, he starts off all right. Because he's getting great service from, at the time, the best right back in the country in Reece James when he was fit and firing, getting great service from Reece James. As soon as Reece James gets injured, Lukaku becomes rubbish. And then what does he do? He goes out and does an interview with Italian Sky Italian?
I think it was one of those ones, yeah. This is one of those moments you'll always remember where you were when you heard this as a Chelsea fan. I remember I was in the gym, I was listening to a podcast, and I heard Romelu Lukaku has done a significant tell-all interview with an Italian media outlet, basically saying that he's happy to come back to Italy.
Yeah. Can't wait to be back there one day.
Yeah. What are you on, Romelu?
You just kissed the badge.
You just kissed the badge for the 18th time.
Do you know what I mean? That's like me kissing my missus on the lips and then turning around and going, I don't half miss my ex, babe.
It felt like you'd been cheated on, hadn't it?
No, it did. It felt like we'd been cheated on. And that's why I was insistent on having him on this list. Now, another player that makes this list is a player that at one point in time, a large proportion of English football media thought was going to be not only the sort of next huge player in the Premier League, but also someone who was going to take over from the crop at the end of the golden generation for England and become a player that leads us into that next generation.
Yeah.
And that player was Jack Rodwell.
Comes in for 11 million quid from Man City to Sunderland. And you're thinking, with the amount of transfer fees that we've discussed in this video, 11 million quid isn't actually that bad. But following his transfer in, I would say he had one of the worst records of any player on this list. He had 2 consecutive relegations. In the Championship, he was playing for them. He only played twice, but he was on 70 grand a week. This was one of those ones.
Mental. Has anyone ever been asked, suppose, when Leicester went down?
There would be some players on that kind of money.
But at that time, because Leicester shattered a load of records when they went down to the Championship in terms of wages. They still had Jamie Vardy on 100k a week, or I think maybe even more. And they might have had 1 or 2 others still on like high wages for Championship level. But at that time, surely that's got to be the record, isn't it?
It's got to be up there. Yeah. In terms of the time period and that amount of money. And then it gets worse, mate, because he then goes down into League One, right? He's still on 43 grand in League One. Let me give you some context here. The average salary in League One, do you want to have a guess?
I'll guess, yeah. 8 grand a week?
It's 6 grand a week is the average salary.
Off.
Barry Bannon is the current highest earner in League One. He's on 24 grand a week.
Who's Barry Bannon play for? Reading?
He's played all over the place, mate. Right. He's a journeyman. What a player.
Yeah.
Do you not remember him?
Yeah,
he's played in the Prem, I think.
Blonde hair.
Yeah.
Short player.
He deserves the money, is what we're trying to say.
Yeah. Great lad. Yeah.
But the fact that I remember, for me, the memory of this was that he just wouldn't ever leave. He wouldn't ever take the wage cut. I think they tried to rip up his contract several times, and he just refused to do so. He didn't back himself, is basically what I'm trying to say.
Wasn't he a bit of a character on... Oh, obviously, he was a character on it, but on Sunderland Till I Die, wasn't there a segment where they're trying to get rid of him?
Yeah. What a show that was. What a show that was. Maybe he was the one doing the DJ work in the booth.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's move on.
Another midfielder.
Another midfielder. Another Premier League winner, because Jack Rodwell will go down as a Premier League winner, I believe.
He's there. He was at the time.
He was there at the time.
Yeah.
Another Premier League winner. And I'd say, you know, on the eye test, looks-wise, just in terms of general handsomeness, an underrated sort of handsome player. Someone I've been compared to.
Yeah. How is your career going at the moment? Like,
as a Drinkwater double. Yeah. We're all about Danny Drinkwater, right? I can't see it myself, but maybe you lot will let us know in the comments. I don't see it, yeah? Who are the ones I get?
Guy Fawkes.
I get Guy Fawkes, yeah? The Guy Fawkes,
yeah.
Danny Drinkwater,
yeah,
and Dean Gaffney. And Josh gets Josh gets Eddie Hearn or the White Reece James.
Yeah.
And I think the White Reece James is brilliant.
Yeah,
like,
I'll take
honestly,
both of them.
And to be fair, you would take Reece over Eddie. Like,
yeah,
I think Eddie's doing good for his age.
I think he's doing really good.
I think he's doing really well for his age.
I think he's a good-looking man.
He is a good-looking man, Eddie, but Reece is a good sort, isn't he?
Well, he is, but do you know what? Both of them are going to be watching this, so I wouldn't be slagging them off.
I'm not slagging either off. I'm just saying, Eddie would admit himself. If Eddie had to admit himself, he'd admit. He's humble enough to admit Reece James is a better looking
When you
player.
met Eddie, what did he say about your looks? Did he say, you know, you're a pretty good-looking guy when you met him recently in Saudi Arabia?
I can't remember word for word what he said, but he said something along the lines of, "Wow, Joey, I knew you looked good on YouTube, but my God, in real life, how do people think you're 50? I'll never know."
He said, "Where'd you get your tan from? Because I need to go there."
There you go.
Didn't he?
There you go.
So the answer for this one is Danny Drinkwater. We signed him for £34 million in 2017 after what was an illustrious season for Leicester.
How good was he in that season for Leicester?
I think he was generational. What a player. It wasn't anything to do with who was alongside him.
Well, can I ask you a question?
It wasn't anything to do with Kante, mate. It wasn't.
Do you not think you could play alongside Kante and look pretty good?
The answer to that is you obviously do because you're rating it.
Like, I remember when Pogba was playing shit for Man United.
Yeah.
And then he went away to that, was it the World Cup or the Euros?
Yeah.
And he had Kante playing alongside him.
He was the one doing the drumming in the dressing room.
All of a sudden, he just looked like a maestro again. And you're thinking, oh yeah, he's going to go back to Man United. He goes back there, dud. like, I honestly think, I just think you could stick anyone next to
Who would you do it? Who would be good enough?
I was making this example in the pub to you, right? Would that season, right, when Danny Drinkwater played next to Kante, would... Let's say, for example, Bolton 05 Matty Taylor.
Yeah, I've got one. I've got one for you. Mark Noble. Mark Noble would have been better.
Would have been better. He'd have been better than Drinkwater. He would have.
He would have come in for probably 50 million, Mark Noble.
Yeah.
He would have been worth it.
Mark Noble would have been better than Drinkwater.
Any others?
What? Players that haven't won Premier Leagues are better than Drinkwater.
No, as in a player that would be elevated by N'Golo Kante.
You want me to basically give you a bang average player who would have been way better if he had played next to N'Golo Kante.
Another DM.
A DM.
Well, like a midfielder.
He wasn't really a DM.
Midfielder.
He was more of a 6 or whatever, wasn't he? Okay. Oh, picking a name out of a hat. I mean, I could pick names off this list and I could go Kalvin Phillips. But picking a name out of a hat, I would say that... I'm trying to think of someone really, really mid. Really mid.
We need a Barclays man, don't we?
Okay, yeah. I've got him.
Go on.
I've got him. What was the Australian fella? Brett Emerton.
It was Brett Emerton, was it?
I think so.
Brett Emerton, what a player. So, yeah, he was on £100,000 a week, right? And it didn't really work out for either party. And it really, when you tell the tale at the end of this, it ended in the end of his career. He went on a series of loans, didn't he? He went to Burnley,
Yep.
And then he went to Villa. Then I think he went to Turkey.
He had a thing about claret kits. He would only go Burnley, Villa, and then unless you could get the West Ham move, you weren't interested.
He wasn't on it.
Yeah.
But basically, Chelsea ruined that guy's football career.
He ruined it himself.
No, I don't think it's as
Shouldn't
simple
have jumped
as that.
ship, mate. Should have stayed at Leicester.
I don't think it's
Play
as simple
Champions
as
League
that.
football next season.
Yeah, true.
There you go.
No, but honestly, he should have stayed, shouldn't he? Think about the way that Vardy's career has gone in comparison.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mental.
Right,
why don't you give us
one?
number one? Because I'm really looking forward to this. You actually reminded me of this tale, so tell us.
It's a bit of an old one, isn't it? So the player was Ali Dia, and he was a player that was scouted by a former Ballon d'Or winner. Well, apparently a former Ballon d'Or winner in Georgie Ware. Do you remember what happened with this?
I do remember what happened, yeah.
So basically, Graham Souness, the manager of Southampton at the time, gets a call from who he thought was Georgie Ware, gets the phone call and says, I've got this player, he's really, really good, youngster, knows what he's doing, just give him a chance. And you're thinking, Graham Souness, he wouldn't really do that, would he? Like, he wouldn't just trust a random person. But he ended up, he did. He gave him a chance in a match.
That can't happen, can it? And then it clips to the, what's his name? What's his name? The legend, the manager, Mick
McCarthy.
Mick McCarthy. Oh, it can.
Oh, it can. I love Mick McCarthy. And he ended up playing a game. And he ended up, I think he played about 30 minutes.
Yeah, he got hooked, didn't he?
Got hooked again.
Subbed, didn't he?
He got
subbed on, subbed off.
Subbed on, subbed off.
Yeah.
And he got, but do you know the player he got subbed on for?
Who?
It's Matt Le Tissier.
Matt Le Tissier, yeah.
It was Matt Le Tissier.
Go on, give me one more player. Sorry, just to interrupt you. Give me one more player that has been subbed.
Xerxes the other day. That's
Did he get
too
subbed
easy,
on,
though.
subbed off?
Oh, no, sorry. No, he started,
he just got
didn't
subbed on
early. Did Antony get subbed?
My one I'll always remember was Emmanuel Bouet. Came on for Arsenal.
Oh, fuck me, that was
they
bad.
may or may not have been playing Wolves. Can't remember. But Arsenal fans will be able to tell me he got subbed on. He was having a shocker, got subbed off. It was awful. I thought it was his career done. He ended up being all right at Bouet. But
yeah, that was a bad one. So the way that Dia's career went from there was that he obviously wasn't contracted to Southampton. And he ends up playing the rest of his career in non-league football.
But he carried on playing.
He carried on playing. By the way, he ends up, he was 31 when he was meant to be this like promising youngster. He was 31 years old. What a story that is. That's got to be the worst transfer in history.
Listen, if you don't take a punt, you'll never find out. So I'm not even going to throw any shade on the man's name. You got to rise your head above water to see if there's a chance. So either way, that was our top 10 worst Premier League signings in history. Let us know what top 10 video you would like to see next coming from the Squawka Football YouTube channel. Big shout out to Squawka, doing lots and lots of help and good work for the Joey Knight podcast, not only in their supporting partnering up with the channel, but just in their website in itself. We use it on a pretty much day-to-day basis, Josh.
I use it thrice daily, I would say.
There you go.
That comparison matrix, if you haven't had a look at it, go and have a look at it now.
Mate, the player comparison matrix is the best feature on any website. Most websites. But any website I can think of, because you can literally get stat for stat on comparing so many different players and whatnot. And when it comes to like Chelsea, when we're looking at certain matches, what players should be starting and whatnot, I feel like the introduction of the Squawka comparison matrix feature has, and I'm genuinely saying this, has made me a more intelligent football fan, which probably wasn't that hard, but it still has. Either way. So big shout out to Squawka. We'll see you all next time.